So much reporting, so little time. Mainstream media is at it again. A particular story that got under my skin this week was the reporting on presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren saying she'd been asked to leave a job while she was pregnant.
My buddy here undertook a thorough review of the facts, and there's some questions on that story. Here to talk about some of the reporting out there is Tommy Christopher, editor and writer for Mediaite. He joins us now via Skype. Tommy, great to see you, sir.
To be here.
So let's start with this Warren thing. What do we know about, you were one of the first people to kind of dig up some of her old footage of what she had said at the time about why she did not continue teaching versus what she said now. What do we know at this point?
Right. Well, in the 2007 interview, she says she's the one who volunteers that it was her lack of education credits that caused her to leave the job. And then she says, after she left the job, she went back to get more credits, and then she decided to stay home after she had the baby. And then, the story has changed over the years, and now it's this business about a principal showing her the door because she was visibly pregnant. And the stories just don't match up. And people have tried to recast this as a we have to believe women kind of issue. But the thing is, I believe Elizabeth Warren in 2007 when she said she left because she didn't have any credits and, went back to get the credits, and then it wasn't working out for her. And then, her debate school buddies told her she'd have fun in law school, so she decided to do that.
So, Tommy, I picked up your story. I propagated it here. One of the things that the Warren surrogates quickly sent back to me was a newspaper article, I believe, from the 1970s, saying that there was a reversal of a policy that required teachers to leave at the 5-month period. How have you taken that into account on the story?
Yeah, well, people have been sending me stuff like that as well. Yeah. And, this is the thing. Their defense is based on, the fact that discrimination existed, which, I put that in my article. Discrimination did exist. It still exists now. But based on what Warren said in 2007, that's not what happened to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her defense has been that, I've gotten more political, I've gotten more comfortable sharing her story, but broadening out from this specific thing, most of the media has just said, like, okay, we believe you, and just sort of uncritically accepted everything that she said on this particular issue. But it also seems to me like the media has really given her a pass on a lot and been propping her up in a lot of ways. What's been your analysis there?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of good pieces on this. Somebody at the Washington Post did a story about how, Warren's getting all this good press because the press is her base. And it's been my observation, I've been observing this for months, that, I think basically the problem with the coverage is black voters are being erased. And part of that's because the media is overwhelmingly white.
Yeah.
And, Warren's support is overwhelmingly white. And, people mention that, but it's always couched in really sort of offensive and dismissive terms. I did a piece about Mark McKinnon was on CNN saying all Warren has to do to win black voters is win Iowa and New Hampshire, and they'll come aboard. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. When people talk about, Joe Biden has a huge lead with black voters, and I wrote a piece this morning. It's gotten bigger, even as Warren has gotten closer to him in the polls.
Right.
But whenever Jessica Tarlow wrote a great piece about this. Whenever people talk about black voters' support of Joe Biden, they always just assume that it's because they think Biden can win, and that's it. One thing that I also
love, by the way, just the idea of asking Mark McKinnon about, what's in the heart and soul of black voters is amazing. Let's just say that, too.
No, Tommy, you're absolutely right.
This goes to another point about how this stuff gets covered because, it drives us all nuts that the mainstream media has spent, 3 years now obsessively interviewing Trump voters. When was the last time you saw a panel of Hillary Clinton voters? And when was the last time you saw a panel of black voters? So
right.
People want to go on TV and say why they think black voters support Joe Biden. Why don't you ask a few?
But,
I couldn't agree with you more.
There's such a class blind spot, too, in the media. It's something we talk about.
We talk about it all the time here.
And I posted another,
right?
Because you guys saw that I did a story about this Puff interview that CNN did with Elizabeth Warren. It was like 10 minutes. It was complete fluff, and it was of no value whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And then I saw over the weekend, CNN's Kyung La was tweeting out video of Kamala Harris having dinner with this Iowa family. And I thought, I can't wait to see this package on CNN. They used 13 seconds of it, and the rest of it was a package about her stalled campaign. And in the package, they talked to like 4 or 5 white voters.
Right.
One of them actually called Kamala Harris articulate. This is how Kamala Harris is being covered versus how Elizabeth Warren's being covered.
Yeah,
and
well,
I think the root problem is black voters are being erased.
What are the other egregious mistakes do you think that the media is making in their coverage of this campaign, Tommy?
Oh, I mean, there's too many to count. Personally, I have a big problem with the way they're covering healthcare because, they just don't have an understanding of the issue. So they ask questions. I mean, look, this thing about taxing the middle class, it's a good question, but they don't have any depth of knowledge on it. Because, Bernie and Warren will just say, oh, well, no, the average person is going to end up paying less overall in costs. And they accept that. It's just not true. I've done several analyses of this. And,
go on. We'd love to hear.
Yeah, most people get their insurance through their employer, and the average person pays about $2,000 total out of pocket. Not the average person with employer-sponsored health care pays about $2,000, including premiums, deductibles, out of pockets, and so those people aren't going to be better off. And that's a lot of them. Yeah. And the media is obviously I don't know if they're unaware of it, but they're going to find out in the general, and this policy is going to be destroyed.
Well, and they basically what they've done is they have seen what the right-wing attack on it is around middle-class taxes and have just parroted that rather than doing their own research, as you have. I mean, we're coming up on the next debate. What do you think of the debate format and how that's all played out? Because that just, again, it seems like basically infotainment. They're just trying to get the candidates to, like, fight amongst each other. It's all very surface level. Do you think that the American people have gained much in terms of knowledge of how these candidates would perform as president out of these debates?
No, but I also, I don't agree with the hand-wringing about how it's all going to be about substance. These are Democratic candidates. I like Kamala Harris's approach in the last debate where she said, look, in healthcare, we all believe in universal healthcare, and Trump wants to take it away. Let's focus on that. I think, for me, look, I don't know if I'm the typical voter, but and I consider myself like an Obama coalition voter, and there's a lot of us. And when I watch these debates, I look for who is going to be able to take on Donald Trump and who's going to be able to articulate democratic principles. So, when one candidate takes a swipe at another candidate on democratic policies, that's not that impressive. I want to see who can punch up and who can take a punch. And so I think the debates are valuable for that. I think there's too many candidates. 12 is too many.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Tommy.
Very interesting. Thank you, Tommy. We're always looking at your stuff.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. We'll have more Rising for you right after this.